Hello everyone. Yesterday me and my friend Ahaz have been sanding off some of the old paint and we got a pretty good chunk of it off. I'm going to continue today. I have a big day today because we need to get engine bay, the roof, the rear quarter panel and the inside painted because today is probably the last warm day of this season. So because I'm going to paint outside, I want the ambient temperature to be as suitable as possible, so we're looking about 20 degrees Celsius. I have watched the forecast and then the temperatures will plummet, so I want to get this protected now. So we will have a protected sheet metal so the car can sit in the garage maybe for a week or two, so that won't be a problem. So now I still need to get some of the paint off, so I will talk to you in a minute. I have to get to work. So first I have used Presto rust converter spray based on some epoxy resins. This will ensure us that we get into these cavities with the straw attachment and get this rust that was inside converted, and it also serves as a good primer, so then we can use paint to cover this and protect it from future oxidation. I went into all the creases that I could find and covered everything up. Later on I have used the wood rust converter on the C-pillars and on top of the wheel arches on the inside. This was done because after wire brushing I have seen that there was some pitting in the surface and I just wanted to make double sure that no rust will be returning anytime soon. So I have covered all of this up and let it dry, let it do its process, so then it will be ready for a coat of primer. Okay guys, so I am back in my spacesuit and now I'm going to put the adhesion promoter, the wash primer, onto the interior and probably the engine bay. Gives us about 30 minutes to mix and prep for primer. So this is with using Standox regiment. We have cleaned everything off with nitro thinner, then one last wipe down with anti-silicone cleaner. Of course we had to vacuum everything out. Now I know it's not going to get perfect because we're painting outside. The surface isn't 100% bare steel because it would take so much longer to do that, and still we have to kind of keep in mind the realistic goal, and also that the daylight is going out, winter is coming, temperatures are dropping, and we want to protect the bare metal as it is. So also I don't quite have my own workshop, so it's hard to kind of take the time with every little detail and just spend a month cleaning everything off. I think this is going to give a good result as well. So right now I'm going to mix the activator and put it on, wait half an hour, apply the primer, and then I'm going to prep the outside and put activator on the outside and then put primer in, let it bake outside, and this is it. Okay, so let's have a small discussion regarding the painting process. Now I am by no stretch of any imagination a painter. This was my first project to paint so much as I did, and perhaps some of my observations or tips that I can offer might help you. So I'm going to expand on those now. When I started to approach the car, I always kind of visualize how I'm going to move from which direction where. I also was very cautious that I keep the gun as perpendicular to the surface as I can, because this is a very big important thing. Also that you have a 50% overlap, so you avoid something that is called tiger striping. Now painting the inside and the engine bay was a little bit difficult because you have all these hard to reach areas that you have to be cautious to paint, and also you have to be mindful that you don't touch the wet paint. So it's important that you first visualize how you're going to do this. Also the flow was much better than the first time when I was spraying the underneath of the car. I also used the giant cardboard to test my flow pattern and everything. It was just pumping up the pressure a little bit more than I had the first time, and also opening up the paint valve. Also we have diluted the paint a little bit better, so it helped the flow. Anyways, with this painting it was very nice to do because you see the result pretty quickly, but it's a little bit tedious because you have to put on wash primer, then clean your gun, clean your cup, clean everything inside. Then you have to mix the white paint, you have to put it on again, clean the outside of the vehicle, mix wash primer, put it on, and then again clean the gun, clean the surface, mix the white paint, put it on, clean the gun. So it's a little bit messy job, but it was so good because I knew that the car is getting protected. But I actually only had one afternoon to get this done because the temperatures went really low in the future days and I had to get it done. So it was a little bit overwhelming and a little bit exciting, but I really enjoyed it. I was very satisfied with the gun, with the product, with everything, so it was coming along very nicely. I was very mindful to not forget any small edge or something because I really wanted to get this body as good of a protection as I can get. So I was really focusing on my arm movement, my distance from the surface, the 90 degree or the perpendicularity of the gun and everything. This ladder was a little bit sketchy because I actually fell down once when I was spraying it. It didn't offer much support, but it was very interesting to get the car protected. So it was one coat of this wash primer and then one coat of 2-component primer over it, and the car looked so good on the sun. I was very happy with it. Now what I was always trying to be mindful of is touching wet paint with the hose. This is a large problem, especially if you're a little bit inexperienced like I am. So just be mindful also to drag that wet edge across the car. I was especially mindful about this when I was putting on white primer, because if you were, for instance, drag the edge of the inner arch and the droplets would land on your quarter panel and then dry there, then once you put another coat over it, you will coat it over dry droplets, and this doesn't look it doesn't leave a good finish. So always be mindful that you start somewhere and then drag the wet edge over it. So if the droplets land on the wet paint, it doesn't matter because it's just going to flow into it and you will still have a nice finish. Anyways, once the wash primer was done, I was putting on 2-component white primer, and it actually looked so good that I just envisioned if I would keep the car white, but we're not going to do that anyways because we have to get back to the original appearance. But yeah, it was really nice. I highly recommend you to try it. These guns for primer colors are not that expensive, and primer can be shot with cheap guns as well, just to protect your stuff before it goes to the paint shop. And I think that it's important that you go for it with an open mind and kind of just visualize how you're going to go, where you have to be mindful of so you don't forget something, and just, you know, enjoy the process. So this is how it looked after the primer has been put on. Afterwards I let it bake in the sun. A Hotz came and see what I've done and gave me a positive feedback. So because he has more experience than I do, it was really nice to hear from somebody who knows the struggle of getting into it the first time, and kind of see how I did. It was nice criticism, and I was very satisfied. So this is it. It's the end for today. We have painted all of the car into the primer color, the engine bay, the inside, and the quarter panels and the roof. To recap, we have first sanded down to bare metal as best as we could. Then we applied the reactive half primer, this one as a wash primer, so it's an adhesion promoter, and then put on this green stuff here, which is on wet base. Now this will save us troubles later, so we can apply a body filler and so forth, and also it's going to stop the car from rusting because it was exposed. I really enjoyed spraying the paint. The new gun performed performed very well, much better than the first time because I put a little bit more thinner in it, so it laid on the color a little bit better. It might be that I'm just going to rent a spray booth and paint it myself now. Getting a little bit overconfident. So this is it for today. If you have any questions, comments, if you need any tricks, tips, leave them down below, and we will see each other in the next episode. Thank you again to Forum Colorum, Standox and Mirka for allowing me to put such nice stuff on my car, because otherwise it wouldn't be. So thanks again, thank you all for watching, and see you next time. Bye.